Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the login page. And in order to work on the login page, the first step is that we need to convert the login page from login.html to login.php. So I'm going to rename the page and I'm going to give it the PHP extension. I'm going to say login.php. So this is the first step. Now let me go to the login page. I'm going to say here / and then login.php. And this is the login page. So what we need to do is that we need to take the user from this login to the account if they log in successfully. So in the login page, let me open up the login page and let's start working on this. So the first thing is that we need to make sure that the form that we have a form. So we have a form, as you can see, and we have two inputs. We have the email and the password and the login button. So what we need to do is that here in this form, we need to give it action and method. So I'm going to say action. The action is going to be login.php, the same page. And the method is obviously going to be post. And let's work on the logic. But before I work on the logic, we need to give this button, this input, we need to give it a name. So I'm going to say here name, and the name is going to be login btn, login_btn. Now at the top, we need to add the PHP code that's going to check and process the login in this page. So here I'm going to say first, I'm going to say include, and then what we want to include is that we want to include the server /connection. And then we want to also include the session. So I'm going to say at the very top, I'm going to say session start, because we need to use the session later. And we need to use if statement to check the button if user clicked on the button, on the login button. So I'm going to say is set post, and is set post login_btn, which is this button. Remember this button that I just gave it a name, login_btn, login_btn. And then here in this login, what we want to do is that we want to get user information. So we need to get the email and the password. I'm going to say email is equal to post email, and the password is equal to post password. And then we need to use the connection in order to connect to the database. So I'm going to say con, and then prepare, and then we need to say select. What do we want to select? We want to select the email, we want to select the user ID and the user ID and the user email and the username as well. I'm going to first say username, user_name, and comma, and then user email, user email, and user password, where from users where user name, user email is equal to question mark and password, user password is equal to question mark. And then we need to say limit 1. We want only one user. And then we need to store this in a variable called statement, stmt. And before I proceed, we need to say here MD5. We need to hash the password in order to compare the password with the hashed password in the database. So here we need to say MD5. And then we want to use this stmt to bind. We need to say stmt and then bind param. And then we want to bind the ss email and password. Email and password. And then we need to execute. We need to say here stmt execute. This is going to execute this query. And then I'm going to here check. I'm going to say if the statement is returns true, then here we have a result. Else we don't have a result. So if this is true, what we want to do is that we need to bind the result. We need to say statement and then bind result. So what are the values that we want to get from the database? We want to get the user ID, we want to get the user name, and we want to get the user email, and we want to get the user password. And then we need to say fetch, statement fetch. We need to fetch the result. But before I fetch the result, I'm gonna say if statement num underscore rows is equal to 1. If there's only one user, then we need to fetch. We need to say statement fetch. We need to say here statement and then fetch. Statement stmt and then fetch. This is gonna get the result from the database. And we need to store this fetch in a variable, let's say raw, because this is going to return only one raw. So raw is going to be equal to statement fetch. And here error. Here there must be an error. And that's it. Now we want to get the result from the database. So we can use this raw in order to access the parameters, these parameters, or we can instead use these parameters immediately. So if we decide to use these parameters immediately, there is no need to store this in a row. We just need to say fetch, and then we can store now everything in the session. We need to say session, and then user underscore ID is equal to the ID, to user ID, and then username session username session user name is equal to user underscore name. Here, by the way, I should say user underscore name, and here user underscore name, and then session user underscore email is equal to user email, and then session user password. We shouldn't be storing the user password. We don't need to do this, and we shouldn't be doing this actually. The last thing that we need to store in the session is the login status, and here we need to say logged in is equal to true. And that's it. Now what we want to do is that we want to handle errors. So here, in case of error, we need to say header, and then location, index, location login.php, and then error is equal to something went wrong. And here, in case of success, we just need to take the user to the login page. I'm gonna say to the account page. Location, and then account.php. And here we can say message is equal to logged in successfully. You can display this message to the user. And here, what I need to do here before I test, I need to say statement and then store result. So that's it. Here, in case of success, we need to do this. And that's it. Let me now save, and let me also display the errors. So the errors can be displayed above the form. So above the form, here P, and then style, color, red, and class, text center. And here I'm going to say PHP, and I'm going to say if is set get, if is set get error, then we need to display the error. Echo get error, semicolon. Regarding handling the errors, here in case the row is not equal to 1, then we can also say else, and then we can copy this header and display an error. And here we can say login.php and then error is equal to, here, could not verify your account, or there is no account with these credentials. And here, in case of error, we need to display here something went wrong. And also, let me add the registration link here. I'm going to say href is equal to register.php. Let me go to the login page to test. So first of all, I'm going to go to the login page and refresh. And I'm going to here try to log in with the account that I have created earlier with this account. So I know my email and password. Let me here say info@email.com. So if I click on login, as you can see, I will be taken to my account. And if I go back to the login page, let's log in with an email that doesn't exist. So if I try to log in with this with these credentials, it's going to say couldn't verify your account. This is for this part. And the last thing that we need to do is that we need to prevent the user from going to a login page if they are logged in. And to do this, we need to add here. So here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add if statement at the top, and then I'm going to say session is set session is set session logged in logged underscore in. If user is logged in, then we need to take the user to the account page. So I'm going to say here location, header location, and then I'm going to take the user to the account, and then that's it. We just take the user to the account page and we exit in case the session is set. Similarly with the registration page, in order to protect the page completely, we need to, instead of saying else if here, we should actually copy this part and remove it from here and add the curly bracket here. Don't forget the curly bracket. And at the top, we need to say, here at the top, we need to say if just if user is logged in, then we take them to the account page. Let's now test. Let me now test this. So now I should be logged in. So if I try to go to the login page, I will not be able to. So if I go to the login, I will not be able to. If I try to go to the register, I will not be able to. As you can see, I will not be able to go to either the registration page or the login page because I'm not logged in. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the account page, because if you go to the account page without logging in, if I go to the account, I will be able to access the account page. And we also need to display information about the user who logged in. So there are two things that we need to work on. The first thing is that I'm going to open the account.php, and then in the account.php, the first thing is that we need to protect this page. So to protect this page, we need to add here PHP code, and then we need to check the session. So we need to say session start, and then if is set session logged in is false. If is false, I'm going to add here exclamation. If is set session logged in is false, then if the user is not logged in, then we need to take them to the login page. I'm going to say header, and then location.php login.php. This is for the account here, and in the account we need to display the user information. So to display the user information, we can use the session. So in order to do this, we can use the session directly here. Remember, in the account page, if you go to the account page, let me first show you where it is. So it's here. It's gonna be here in this account. So in this account we have the name and the email, and here we have the name and the email. So we need to replace these with the sessions. So instead of saying name John here, I'm going to say PHP, and then echo session, and then user underscore name, I think. Let me check that from the login. From the login, we have set the session username, and in the registration, we all have also set the session to username and email. So we have the username and the email. So here I'm going to say echo username, session username, and then semicolon. And similarly with the email, PHP and then echo, and then session email, user email. And here I'm going to say exit. This is very important. You need to say here exit. And we also need to check for double protection here. For adding an extra layer of protection, you can here say if is set session user name, then we can echo this. We can echo this code. This is just for protection, extra layer of protection. And similarly here I'm going to say is set session user email. And I'm going to also activate the buttons. So we have two buttons. We have logged out and orders. So for the orders, in order to activate the orders will be in the bottom. So in order to do this, we just need to add here in the orders, we need to give it an ID. This section, we need to give it an ID. I'm going to say ID. And The ID is gonna be order or orders. The ID is orders. And here I'm gonna say href hashtag orders. And for the logout, we need to log the user out. So we need to add here a link for logging out, but I'm gonna work on this shortly. Let's first test this. So I'm gonna here refresh the account, and I will not be able to check the account anymore unless I log in. So let me log in. Let me log in with the account that I created, and then let me click on login. And as you can see, it's going to display my information here. And if I try to go to the login page, if I try here to go to the login.php, I will not be able to. So I will not be able to go to the login page because I'm logged in. If I try to go to the register page, register.php, I will not be able to. And if I click on your orders, it's going to go to this section. For the logout, we need to work on the logout in order to log the user out. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the logout. So if I click on logout, nothing is going to happen. So we need to activate this button. So if you go to the account.php, you will find that we have here a button called logged in. And here we have href. We need to say here account.php, and then we need to add question mark, and then logout is equal to 1. And then I'm going to go to the here in the account at the top, I'm going to say if is set get log out and then I'm gonna say if is set session logged in. If user is logged in, then we need to log them out, and to log the user out we need to unset the session. We need to unset session user logged in first, logged in, but this is not enough. We need also to unset the user email and the user username. In other words, we need to delete the username and the email because they logged out. So I'm going to say unset session user email, and also I'm going to say unset session username. And lastly, I'm going to say header, and then location, and then login.php. So this is going to take the user to the login page one more time. And finally, we just need to exit. Let me now save, and let me head on over to the browser to test. So now in the browser, I'm logged in. Let me first refresh, and let me click on logout. If I click on logout, I will be taken to the login page. So it worked successfully. And you can test that even one more time if you want. So let me test one more time. I'm gonna log in one more time, and then now I'm logged in. Let me click on logout. If I click on logout, I will be taken to the login page. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the change password functionality. So in order to do that, we need to open up the account.php because this functionality, this feature is in the account.php. And here in the account.php, we have the account here, and then if you scroll, you'll find that we have here a form for changing the password. So this form, let's start working on this form. As usual, we need to say method. We need to give this form a method, and the method is going to be post. And then I'm going to also give it a action. So the action is just going to be the same page. I'm going to say account.php. And the password has a name, password, and the confirm password has also a name, confirm password. And then the button, we need to give the button a name. I'm going to say here name, and the name for this button is going to be change underscore password. Change password. Very, very simple. Change password. Now we need to work on the PHP part. So at the top, since this is a post request, we need to say if, and then we need to check the post change password parameter. I'm going to say is set, and then I'm going to here say post. I'm going to say is set post, and I'm going to pass the change password button, change password, because remember the button, I have given the button here a name called change password. The next step is that we need to get the name, we need to get the password and the confirm password from these fields. And to do this, here inside this if statement, we need to say here password is going to be equal to post password, and the confirm password, I'm going to say here confirm password, here confirm password is going to be equal to post confirm password, post confirm password. And now what we need to do is that we need to get a code that we already created, which is verifying that the two passwords match, and also the password is not less than 6 characters. And we already have that code in the register. If you go to the register, you'll find that we have this code. So let's copy this code in order not to repeat this code. So I'm going to copy this code, and then I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it here. However, this code is going to be a little different. If passwords don't match, we need to redirect to the same page. We need to say header location account.php, and then error is equal to password don't match. And if the password is less than 6 characters, we need to say location and then account, and then here error is equal to password must be at least 6 characters. And else, if there is no error, we need to say else if no errors. And before I continue, you need to make sure that the number of curly braces is correct. So here we have 1, 2, 3, and here 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. This is the closing. This is the opening, and this is the closing curly bracket, and this is for the else. So make sure that you don't have any problems. And I'm going to push this code so that you see the structure very well. So here, in case we have no errors. So if we don't have any errors, what we want to do is that we want to make a query. So in order to make a query, we need to import here at the top. We need to say include, and then we need to say server /connection.php. And then we need to use the connect here. We need to say con, and then prepare. And then what we want to do is that we want to update the password. So to update the password, we need to say update users, and then set password is equal to question mark, actually user password is equal to question mark, where user underscore email is equal to, again, question mark. User email is equal to question mark. And after that, we need to execute this. So in order to execute this, we need to say we need to store this first in a statement. I'm going to say here stmt is equal to this, and then we need to say stmt, and then first we need to bind param, and we need to bind two things. We need to bind the password and the email. So we need to say user, the password is this password. So first we need to bind the password. So we need to say comma and then password, and then comma, and then email. So the email is in the session. Remember, the email is in the session. So to get the email from the session, we need here to say user email is equal to user is equal to session user underscore email. And here I'm going to say user email. And before I bind, we need to hash the password. So I'm going to say MD5. Here I'm going to say MD5, and then I'm going to pass the password inside the MD5. This is considered one of the best practices, and if you want to know more about PHP best practices and security best practices, you can take my course about that. I'd highly recommend taking this course if you really want to know more about security best practices of PHP. So after this, what we want to do is that we want to execute. So I'm going to say here stmt, and then we just need to execute. It's very similar. If you check this code out, you'll find that it's similar to other codes. So it's similar to this. For example, we bind the param and then we execute, and that's it. But we don't here. The difference is that here we get the result. Here we prepare and then bind the param and then execute, and then we get the result. But here, since we are just updating, we don't need to do anything else. We just need to check if password has been updated or not. If this is true, we can here say header, and then location, and then account .php, and then message is equal to password has been updated successfully. Else, if the password has not been updated, then we need to do the same. We need to copy this exit, or we need to copy this header, and then we need to paste it here, and then we need to say error instead of message, error, and then we need to say could not update password. And now what we want to do is that we want to store messages. So to store messages, to display actually messages. So in order to display messages above the form, here above this form, account this form, above this form, I'm going to display two P tags. The first P tag is going to be for the errors, and the second one will be for success messages. So here I'm going to say class text center, and the style color is gonna be red, and in between I'm gonna say here PHP, and then I'm gonna say if is set get, if is set get error. If there's an error, then we need to display it. We need to say echo, and then what do we want to echo? We want to echo the get error, Pretty simple. And in case of success, we need to copy the same exact paragraph, this paragraph, and then we need to paste it below here. And then we need to say, instead of red, I'm going to say green. And then I'm going to say, if is set get message, then we need to display the message. So that's it, very simple. Let me save and let's head on over to the browser to test. So I'm gonna head on over to the browser and I'm gonna refresh first, and then I'm gonna here display. As you can see here, it's gonna say logged in successfully because I displayed the message. Because in the login, by the way, in the login I passed, upon logging in, I passed this message, logged in successfully, and in case of error, couldn't verify password. So here, let me say, let me here say, let me here update my password. So I'm gonna type a new password. I'm gonna here type a new password and see what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna type here a new password, and then I'm gonna click on change password. And as you can see here, I have a very simple error. It says account was not found on the server, and this is a very simple error. The error is because I have here in the form I should say not in the form, in the code I should say account. Let me check one more time. Account this. So the error is here. I should say account.php error is equal to blah blah blah. So that's it. And another error that I have is here. I should say confirm camel case password. So we need to make sure that we don't have errors before I test one more time. Let me now save and test. So I'm gonna save and let me go back and let's test. So let me remove this get request and let me refresh. So now let me type a new password. I'm gonna here type a new password and test with a new password. So if I click on change password, as you can see, it says here password has been updated successfully. And if password don't match, for example, if I type here a password and in the second field I type another password, it's gonna say password don't match. If I type a password that's very short, let me here type a password that is very short, and then if I click on change password, it's gonna say password must be at least 6 characters. So this is how it works, and this is it will allow users to change their passwords if they want to. And another thing that I wanted to talk about is upon registering, after the user registers, we will display this message. User was not this one, actually this one. You registered successfully. So we have this register message. You can display it here in the account. You can display it in this account here. Here register success. Let me say register underscore success. And here I'm gonna say register. Here we don't need, actually here we don't need a we just need error. So here register success. So in the account, what we want to do is that we want to display this message above this form. In the account, we want to display it above not this form, above this name. So here I'm going to say P. I'm going to copy this P. I'm going to copy this P. And then I'm going to say green. And then I'm going to say if get register underscore success, then display the register underscore success. Similarly, with the login, we have here a message. Remember, in the login we have error and message. We can say, instead of message, let's say login underscore success, and here that's it, login success. So in case of success, I'm going to display this message as well. I'm going to copy this paragraph, and let me copy this paragraph, and then let me paste it here. And instead of register success, I'm going to say login success, login underscore success, and here login underscore success. And let me save and let's test this. So now in the page, if I log out, and if I try to log in, let me log in now. Let me log in one more time. So if I log in, guess what? If I log in, a message will be displayed. So if I click on login, as you can see, it's gonna say here logged in successfully. Similarly with the registration, if you register successfully, another message will be displayed here. So now our this area is complete. The account info as well as the change password area, both are complete. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to get the user ID in the registration page and also in the place order. So in the registration page, upon registering, after the user registers a new account, after the user creates a new account, we need to get their ID, the ID that was given by the database, which is going to be unique, and it's very, very important. So to get that ID, we can use, remember here in the place order, we have used this variable, which is this member variable, which is insert ID, to get the ID that was inserted, which is the user ID. So here in this case, it's going to be here after we make sure that the account has been created, we can say user ID is equal to, and then statement stmt, and then insert ID. And then we need to insert the user ID in the session. So we need to say session and then user underscore ID. And here we can say user ID. In the login page, we already have the user ID. We already got the user ID upon logging the user in. In the place order, remember in the place order, I have said here that the user ID is going to be 1 just for testing, and just for not leaving it empty, because we couldn't leave that empty. Now instead of saying 1, I'm going to get the user ID from the session. I'm going to say session and then user underscore ID. User underscore ID. And that's it. And make sure that the key is user underscore ID. And here make sure again that the key is user underscore ID. And here make sure that the key is user underscore ID, because otherwise there will be a conflict between IDs and between keys, and you will not be able to get the user ID. Here we also have, I think we have here the user ID, which is this user ID, which is this one. So we don't have to change anything else. That's it, and everything is perfect.